I found out my teacher was playing favorites with extra credit, so I shared it with everyone but her favorites. This happened during my junior year of high school, and it's a petty little masterpiece I still smile about. I had this chemistry teacher, let's call her Miss Holloway. She was relatively new, and at first, she seemed cool, chill, fun, played music during labs, that type. But as the semester went on, something became glaringly obvious: she had favorites. And I don't mean the "oh, she's friendly with the students who participate" kind of favoritism. I mean she actively catered to this little clique of teachers' pets, mainly the popular kids who were already getting A's and didn't even need help. Meanwhile, the rest of us were practically invisible. At first, I brushed it off. Not the first time a teacher has leaned toward the charmers, right? But then one day, after a test that half the class bombed, Miss Holloway casually mentioned to one of her favorite students in front of me, "Oh, I posted a little extra credit opportunity for you guys on Google Classroom. Make sure you get it in by Sunday." I froze. What extra credit? I went home and scoured our class page. Nothing. No announcement. No assignment. But then, purely by accident, I clicked on the classwork tab and saw something weird, an assignment labeled EC, optional, that was marked as only visible to certain students. Google Classroom lets teachers assign things to specific students. So unless you were tagged, you wouldn't even know it existed. I did some digging. I copied the link to the assignment and opened it in a different browser, logged into my friend's school account. She sits in the back, never gets noticed. Nada. Assignment doesn't exist. That's when it hit me: she was sneakily giving extra credit only to her favorites. So, I got a little petty. Instead of confronting her or reporting her, I knew the school wouldn't care. I decided to turn her own sneaky tactic against her. I took the link and shared it in our class group with a little message. "Hey, found this hidden extra credit assignment. It's due Sunday." Apparently only the chosen ones got the memo. Let's level the playing field. The group exploded. Turns out none of the non-favorites had seen the assignment. Over the next 2 days, the entire class, except maybe 4 to 5 people, turned it in, most of us with better work than usual, just out of spite. Monday rolls around, and Mrs. Holloway walks in looking a little off. She clears her throat and says, "So, it's come to my attention that the extra credit assignment I gave out was, somehow, accessed by students it wasn't assigned to." Silence. The air was thick with smug energy. She continues, "While I appreciate the enthusiasm, it was meant for specific students based on performance metrics." Girl, please. That said, I will honor all submissions this time, but in the future, please do not complete assignments that aren't intended for you. Someone behind me muttered, "Then maybe don't hide them." She never said who, but the next day the assignment disappeared. No points posted, no comments, nothing. But then 2 days later, magically, everyone had an extra 5 points added to their last test score. Even the favorites who didn't turn anything in. She never gave out hidden extra credit again. And best part? A week later, one of her favorites complained out loud that she didn't get the points and had to retake the test. I guess she forgot to do the assignment. Oops. TLDR. Teacher secretly gave extra credit only to her favorite students by hiding the assignment in Google Classroom. I found the link and shared it with the entire class except her favorites. Everyone else turned it in. She was forced to honor the submissions, and her favoritism was exposed. She never tried it again. She told me I'd never succeed, so I made sure she didn't get tenure. I can't even believe I'm typing this out right now, but here we go. I've never felt so vindicated in my life. This story starts way back in high school. I was that quiet, bookish girl, always in the library, reading, writing, and dreaming of becoming a writer one day. I had a passion for writing that was unmatched. But for some reason, my high school English teacher, Miss Collins, had a serious problem with me. She was one of those teachers who played favorites and had a hard time seeing beyond her narrow view of what talent should look like. If you didn't fit into her narrow, stereotypical box of what good writing was, you were basically invisible to her. I didn't fit into her box. I was quiet, not the popular kid, and my writing style didn't match the stuff she liked. She was all about flowery, overly complex sentences, while I was more into raw, emotional storytelling. To her, it was amateur. And she didn't hesitate to make me know it. I'll never forget one day when she humiliated me in front of the entire class. We were sharing our final drafts of a short story assignment, and I had poured my heart into mine. I was so nervous as I read it out loud, but I was proud of it. When I finished, she just stared at me and said, "That's it? This is what you call writing?" I expected more from someone who claims to want to be a writer, and then, she proceeded to tear apart my work in front of everyone, telling me it was nothing more than a bunch of poorly strung-together sentences that don't even make sense. My classmates stared at me, some even snickered. I wanted to crawl under the desk. That wasn't the worst of it. She also blocked me from joining the creative writing club after I had asked to join. Her reasoning? "Your writing isn't good enough. You're not cut out for it." That was the blow that really stung. She'd shut down my biggest dream, and no one else in the school had the authority to overrule her. The worst part? I was a shy, introverted girl who didn't have many friends. Her words stuck with me for years, and I almost believed her. I started second-guessing my writing, and for a long time, I thought maybe I wasn't cut out to be a writer. Fast forward a few years, and I'm in grad school at a prestigious university, studying creative writing. I'd finally found my voice as a writer and was getting published in some smaller literary magazines. It was a dream come true. I had worked so hard to get to this point, and I was proud of everything I'd achieved. But one day, I was going through my email inbox when I saw an announcement from the department, "New faculty applications open." I thought nothing of it, until I saw the name, Miss Collins. I almost dropped my coffee. My high school teacher, the one who had destroyed my confidence, was applying for a faculty position at my university. I immediately felt a mix of emotions, shock, disbelief, and a tiny bit of excitement at the thought of having the chance to get back at her. I found out she had applied for a teaching position in the creative writing department, the very department I was part of as a grad student. I had no idea how she managed to land an interview there, but I wasn't going to let her near my school's students. Now here's the kicker. As part of the selection process for new faculty, there was a student panel, a group of grad students who had a say in whether or not the candidate should be hired. I was selected to be on this panel. I couldn't believe my luck. I had the chance to do something about all the pain she had caused me and the other students she had belittled. I went into overdrive. I dug through my old high school yearbooks, saved emails, and gathered every single receipt I could find from the hell she'd put me through. I wrote a detailed letter, explaining her treatment of me and how it had negatively impacted my confidence and my mental health. I included the public humiliation, the fact she'd blocked me from joining the writing club, and the way she had actively discouraged me from pursuing my dreams. I made sure I had evidence to back up everything I said. No one could accuse me of lying or exaggerating. I wasn't the only one who had a bad experience with her. I reached out to a few of my old classmates who also remembered how nasty she'd been, and they agreed to write testimonials about her behavior. One of them, a girl I'd graduated with, had been laughed at by Miss Collins when she shared a personal story about her struggles with mental health in class. I couldn't believe what a toxic environment she had created, and I wasn't going to let her do that to my university. The day of the panel came, and I walked in with the other students, trying to keep my emotions in check. When Miss Collins walked into the room, I could hardly look at her. She hadn't aged a day, but she had the same smug attitude I remembered from high school. She smiled at me as if nothing had ever happened. The interview went on, and I made sure to ask questions that highlighted her lack of empathy, her lack of understanding of how to work with students, and her history of playing favorites. I wasn't going to let her spin her lies. And when it was time for the student panel to deliberate, I laid it all out. I was direct, and I didn't hold back. She had been a terrible teacher who had no place being around students again. The others on the panel listened, some were shocked by the things I'd said, and a few others spoke up with their own concerns about her qualifications and teaching methods. After what felt like an eternity, the decision was made. She didn't get the job. She was rejected. I'll never forget the look on her face when she got the email. And the best part? I didn't even have to speak to her directly to get my revenge. She thought she had gotten away with it, but I made sure her past came back to haunt her. She never got the chance to be an influential teacher ever again, and that, to me, was the sweetest victory. I'm not the same shy girl she tried to crush all those years ago. I'm strong, I'm confident, and I'm a published writer now. And Miss Collins? She'll always be a small, bitter memory in my past. But at least now, I've made sure she won't be able to hurt anyone else's future. TLDR, my high school English teacher humiliated me, told me I'd never succeed, and blocked me from pursuing my dreams. Years later, she applied for a teaching position at my grad school, and I made sure every bad thing she ever did came back to haunt her. She didn't get the job, and I couldn't be prouder.